gentlemen, my guest today is a lovely, lovely man. I love this boy so much. If I had something, I would, my friend. Sadly, I don't, because this is a sober week for me, I guess. I'm taking off because last week I just felt like dick, dude. And you have kids, by the way, so you must be at least 4 bottles a week, I'm going to say.
Actually, I've slowed down. I've been exercising a lot more, so I've been really like counting calories or watching weight. I know everybody, right? I know everybody doesn't think I'm like fat, but for me, I'm like, man, this is huge for me.
My guest today, for those of you that do not know this gentleman, you should. He's one of the funniest men I've ever met in my life, at least. For God's sakes, how can I not talk about Bill Spork, everybody? One of Pete's favorite comedians at the Funny Stop, and a man of very, very dirty words, and it's why I love him. The thing is, I wanted you on here because we had been talking, or we've known each other for a long time.
Right.
I want to say like 5-6 years now since I started doing stand-up.
Yeah, about 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and I've always enjoyed having you, and it's always fun, especially on a day like this, because at the time of recording this is May the 4th, everybody.
Yeah, from where I'm from, people hate that phrase.
Well, I know
Right.
where you're from. Trust me. I'm not saying believe me, at that point you're just like, you're glad that they even say hi to you and not, epithets that we can't say in 2019.
Right. No, I'm fine with it, but there's a lot of people that I'm just through Facebook today, and I had to just go through all of sit through like the feed, and it's just all about like, I hate the Star Wars May the 4th thing, and it's all about like the Kent shootings. Right. Yeah.
I've seen 2 things on that, and it's either Star Wars or everybody's posting. Because if people don't know, we live in Ohio, and we live very close. Bill especially lives closer to Kent State University, and May 4th not only is the 4th or the anniversary or like a Star Wars day, but it's also the day that 4 were shot at Kent State University, which is always a solemn day. And it also... Oh, no, continue.
Fun fact, the band Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young wrote a whole song about it.
Well, I was actually gonna say, if it wasn't for that, like we
nobody would know.
Nobody would have probably known of at least was it Crosby? I think who was it that went and like they were in Kent during that whole thing.
Yes, that's why they wrote it.
Yeah, and they like walked through, the famous story is they like walked through the woods and all of a sudden saw like the aftermath happening, or something was happening, and they were hanging out somewhere, and all of a sudden they heard the shots and went outside and saw it. But it's always taught in schools here in Ohio. Like it's one of those things, kind of like I would assume, different things like the Alamo. I spent time in Texas, and like the Alamo was one of the biggest goddamn things you would hear every year.
Right, but it's not going to like touch home with me because I'm not from there. And that's kind of what I was trying to point out, that even though there's a lot of Ohio people that, are upset with that, like the rest of the world doesn't really know about it. And
no.
So give them their Star Wars.
Exactly. And that's the one. That's why I wanted you on today, sir. It's because I decided, because it was May the 4th, and I know you, lovely man, are a Star Wars fan, and I am as well. I watched today, and you've seen it a few times, the lovely movie that is Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. Dude, that movie was, I'm going to say this, I had low expectations because of the fact that a lot of movies with J.J. Abrams are nothing but fan service when it comes to Star Wars. Like the new trilogy has been all fan service for the most part. If you didn't come in at 4, you're fucked. But at the same time, like this movie was so good in the way they wrapped that whole saga up of the Skywalker, and it was kind of like, oh, I see where you're going now, and I like where you're going. What did you think when you first saw Rise of Skywalker?
I was going into it thinking that like at least half of the movie was going to be like retcon from the other director, trying to like repolish up like what JJ wanted to do in the first place in the second one. But that actually didn't happen, and it like literally took I was amazed because it was like one just one sentence in the whole movie just shifted it to like take away that whole retcon. And it was can we do spoilers? Obviously,
yeah, we can do spoilers. It's up for free if you don't have or it's up on Disney Plus if you don't have it by now. It's an amazing buy for sure. And at the same time, when you do when this movie, when you talk about I call it the Laura Dern disaster, which that was that movie. It was not what I can definitely tell. And it goes, if you think about it, though, it always happens in the second movie. There's always some stuff where it doesn't get wrapped up in the third movie, but for some reason, like The Room, they just say, oh, have cancer. Like, it's the weirdest fucking thing. How? But, like, what was your opinion on the entire saga? The third saga, I mean.
Like this trilogy?
Yeah.
I was.
Oh, wait, no. You said we're gonna real quick. What was the sentence though? I totally went off track. But what was the sentence?
The beginning of the movie when Kylo Ren like meets up with Palpatine, and he pretty much just wraps everything up with, "I created Snoke, and I've been in your head." And that, like, instead of that, it was like, oh no, everybody's pissed because they wanted to know more about Snoke. And it was like, really, he was just puppeteering the whole thing like he was on all the other ones. Yeah. So he wrapped it up with how are you alive again? Because everybody's like, dude, come on, you're putting the Emperor in there just to try to make money. But he's like, the pathway to the dark side is some believe to be, what does he say? Unnatural. He called that to Revenge of the Sith, and that's the same thing he says to Anakin. And I was like, dude, I love how they started the movie out like that.
I watched it, and when I had seen the spoilers, because I'm one of those fucks who goes to like, shout out to these guys. I like these guys a lot, new rock stars. Those like Eric Voss and the guys, those guys are really cool when it comes like, if you don't have the money to do something, they're them and a bunch of other spoiler people put it so well where it's like you can understand the story instead of just like, oh, Leia dies. Like they don't ever say that. They build the story and then give you the moments, which makes it a lot better than just like all of a sudden I read on comicbooks.com that like Leia dies. Like, okay, we get it, we understand. But like with that movie, what I loved about the opening of the movie is you start to see what they're trying to set up with Kylo Ren after the second film, and kind of really made him like look for that what you said with Palpatine keeping those strings. And by the way, wasn't that a cool visual of him technically being a puppet of his own mind? If you think
that was awesome.
It was cool to see him on that big fucking arm, man. Yeah. I was like, yes. And I will say this. I was not a big Emperor fan in the original series, but
ooh, man, he's probably I don't know if he's human, but he's my favorite like person character.
He's in the top 10 for sure.
Like he has so many. He was only in Return of the Jedi, but he has so many catchphrases. Just like the part where he's like, "Oh, I'm afraid the deflector shields would be quite operational." It's a dick.
Yeah, I always like the Family Guy episode 3 or episode 6 when they had Carter. You've never seen it?
No, I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They did the first 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Carter Peter Schmidt does the line, and it like goes all the way down to his chest. That's a character that I always thought was more, even though in the end he became the big bad of the universe. I always thought like he was more, how can I put this? He was a strong character, but really because of the fact that he was only in Jedi in the beginning, you kind of look at him sort of as a third character. He's not it's not like a guy who you see being something down the line. I could have definitely seen Vader coming back in some kind of weird way.
No,
but
see, go ahead.
Oh, but I was gonna say, but the way they set up through Kylo Ren and saying that he pulled all the strings, it makes sense because of the lore with like Darth Maul and all that kind of stuff that was put into, was it Rebels? I think it was Rebels, the cartoon show where he had the like multi legs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they brought him back with the legs. Yeah.
Yeah, and his like hatred kept him alive. He probably learned, and the consensus is he learned that obviously from Palpatine through Darth Sidious, or not Darth Sidious. What was the Darth Plagueis?
Plagueis, yes, that brought him. Yeah,
and it sort of became his downfall. Obviously, Maul, but it became the Emperor. What I love about the Emperor is because I love he's like that. He's like that Don character. I'm watching Oz right now. And have you ever seen that show?
Oh yeah, I actually watched it when I was a teenager. You're talking about like the Oswald Penitent,
Oswald Correctional Facility, Oswald Penitentiary / Correctional Facility.
Yeah, dude. I really like Beecher and Poet.
Yes. Well, I'm to a point where I don't like Poet right now. I'm not going to tell you what happened because people that are watching this, if you've never seen Oz, that kind of shit.
Man.
It's on Amazon Prime right now for free.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I'm binge watching it right now. So
it was great. They brought in so many characters. Like even the what's the narrator's name? I think.
Augustus.
Augustus Hill.
Yeah. I love the fact you know this shit. I might have you on for the Oz episodes. Because I'm going to try and actually, this is a bit of a teaser to everybody, but I'm going to do Oz episodes, and I'm going to be in contact with some people trying to get character or the actors from Oz to just talk and hang out and just talk over Zoom for not an Oz cast, but Oz episodes of the Quarantcast. That's what I'm really going to go for, or after I rebrand this, because I have plans on rebranding. So, but you can also get us on Anchor FM on the social Side Angle network, everybody. So get that for us. We're on Anchor FM, Spotify, and you can actually get an audio version of this after the video airs on Anchor and Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. See how I snuck that in, William? It's a lovely day.
Right on.
But no, yeah, man, this show, we're me and my friend Shauna, who was in our first episode, or in my first episode of this, we're in almost to the end of season 3 right now. And how I look at the Emperor is like Nino. Nino Shabeta. I look at like before he got the stuff that happened to him. It was definitely one of those, like, you could tell he was quiet, but almost could keep everything in line just because he was an Italian mobster. And that's how I view the Emperor. Really, I view him as that dude who's kind of like, I'll let them do all.
I look at the Emperor as he was brought in as a necessary evil. He was a platform for Vader because there's a pinnacle moment towards the middle of Jedi where like you look at Vader and you see that like the Emperor pretty much just controls him and you feel bad for him. And then that sets up the angle for him to make the big turn. Because it's like he's like telling Luke like, now you see like there's no way out. You're screwed just like I am.
That's actually one of my favorite scenes of Jedi is that tunnel scene. Dude, that pulls at my heartstrings so fucking much.
Like my favorite part in the whole movie is when he's like taking down Vader with the lightsaber and he just keeps going, and then he looks at his hand that he just chopped off, and then he looks at his hand and he's like, whoa, I'm like becoming like anybody can relate to that when they're like going down a bad road. They're like, man, I got to stop being this way. I don't want to become this, type of person.
Oh,
I'm going
for
to become the
sure.
same way. Yeah, it's a great thing just to look at and learn a lesson from. Good values in Star Wars.
Dude, that's one of the first like movies that really taught me those kind of lessons, like movie series.
Yeah, I didn't have a dad. I didn't have Star Wars.
Believe it or not, this and The Godfather taught me morals because like I learned to be kind of that, again, sneakiness, but at the same time be decent of a human being, to be like, that guy doesn't deserve shit.
Well, I mean, Yoda like sets it all up. It's just don't be this type of person. Don't hate. It leads to fear and anger and then suffering. And it's pretty much when you become a negative person, you become this person that nobody wants to be around. And, it is suffering in the end.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
What I loved too about this movie as well is like the holocrons. They took those from the like comic books and the cartoons and all that, because we never heard of like holocrons until these movies. Really, they were never established, were they?
I don't know if it. I think it's they allude to it in the prequels about how they make their lightsabers. Maybe it might be an Attack of the Clones.
No, that was the Kyber crystal, though. Kyber crystals are different from
the holocron. That he taps in to find the location.
Yeah, that was sort of. But the Sith did build that. They did build that because it's established in the movie in Episode 9 that they built those as like navigation to the outer reaches.
See, that's the thing that I like about Star Wars is that they just, in every single one, even from the very beginning in Episode 4, they just throw stuff in that you don't even know about. And Lucas was smart enough to start these movies in the like kind of the center. And then you're just like, who are all these people? What is this thing? What is this thing? And then later on, maybe 5 movies later, he's going to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So it's like he's setting up stuff. Like even you watch the like Mandalorian. And it's
I am actually going to start watching that tomorrow. Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm excited. Because now that I have this, because it takes place between Episode 6 and 7, I can now that I have the ending of the whole thing, why not go just piece everything together that way?
Yeah.
Like you just said, the fact that he started from the middle like a psychopath is the reason I love Star Wars to this day, because he started off with the meat first.
Right. But I understand why he did it, because if he didn't and you got 1, 2, 3, it wouldn't be a big reveal when you find out that Vader's Luke's father.
No.
That was probably the big deal to it. I've also heard that he didn't even know he was going to set that up.
Really?
I heard that wasn't even like taking place until he was writing for Empire Strikes Back.
Interesting.
That's crazy. And when they did it, it was the only person that had the real script was Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy that was playing Vader, just physically, because it's not like just the physical person. He said, you don't know the truth. Obi-Wan killed your father, and it was supposed to be, that was like the lead on for that.
That was that's the original script idea, was that, and then George Lucas, I think a couple weeks before that was shot, they changed it or something like that.
That's crazy.
It's insane the way movies work.
It's insane that he made that work, and it just happened to just work out that way. If one thing would have went wrong, Star Wars would have busted.
Yeah, imagine that you just hear that like Obi-Wan, and you're like, no, fuck you, I'm not gonna watch this. You would have had more people walking out of the theater than they did in fear of The Exorcist. It would have been in disgust, and they probably would have been vomiting at the same time, I think. But like, if you look, what I love too is finally also we get to wrap up Rey's story. That's the one thing I was wondering where they were going with this. I know they're going in a new direction with the stories of Star Wars after this, because I think Taika Waititi just got signed to direct the film. It was announced today. And then a few other people are working.
Is that the guy that did Ragnarok?
Yeah. The voice of...
I like that guy.
the voice of Crag, or Krog. I love that character. Oh, I'm just gonna be here. I'm over here.
Korg.
Korg, yeah, that's it.
This is neat. This is cool.
Hello, I'm Korg. This is Bit, and we are the kind of the people who run this a little bit. But like, what I love is the fact that there's gonna be more to this, and hopefully we get an episode 10.
They're never even stop making them. It's it's a big thing. You can't kill. It's more than a franchise now. It's a brand.
Oh yeah, this is Coke. This is not. This is like Disney now owns Coke, and
that's right.
They're selling it at the amusement park made about Coke. Like that's
really. I really enjoyed Rogue One. Like a lot of people didn't when it first came out. I was like so on board with that movie, and then people started catching on like 2 years later.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch it because I did see it in theaters, but I'm gonna have to rewatch it to kind of like.
You definitely got to watch it like a couple times before it sinks all in.
Okay.
I liked it.
Nice. And what did you think of Rey's like arc? What from like 6 to 9? Did you expect the twist, or was it one of those things where you were kind of like, did they, like you just said, they brought him in to have like sort of a MacGuffin, but it's still.
Okay, here's my problem. Okay.
Okay.
When the Force Awakens came out, me and my wife went out and saw it, and we were mind blown. It was brand new Star Wars. It looks amazing. You watch it like 3 or 4 times more, and you're like, it's not. The hype started to die down, and then the second one came out, and it was like, all right, now the hype's really dying down. And they get to the third one, and I liked that he changed it up, and it was like now she's Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yes.
I liked it. There was a whole bunch of like fans talking about maybe that's what either she's going to be like granddaughter of Obi-Wan or Palpatine, and then it ended up being him. And I like that overall as Rey's character. I thought this is my problem with those 3 Star Wars movies. The first 2, it doesn't feel like Star Wars because I feel like the heart of Star Wars is like this group of people that are friends, and there's like the friendship thing. And then in the finally in that third movie, the one we're talking about, the Rise of Skywalker, it finally feels like they all like know each other and they're buddies, and there's like that whole buddy chemistry.
There's always been that common thread, and we mentioned it earlier. There's always a common thread in Star Wars films. The second movie is always the worst. The first movie, hit or miss. But
I can't get on board with that because there's probably a trillion people on this planet that'll tell you Empire Strikes Back is the best one. I personally like Jedi the best, but Empire is really good. I like Empire.
Well, I'm talking about like in even in sometimes that can be the weak, even though it's the greatest, it can be the weak link. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can have some things that were made in the movie but never really paid off.
Saying, yeah.
And
the bridge.
Yeah, it's that blueprint to getting to the end of the story. But I'm going to say this, a lot of times Lucasfilm has had a big opportunity in the second film that they take every time, which is that movie, they always do treat it as the second film. No matter what, they know this is going to be that jump to the big finale. And even though the last couple, the weren't that way, it's fan service. Even we talked about that earlier. J.J. Abrams loves him some fucking fan service. I mean, look at all those Cloverfield movies. For God's sake, I'm a big fan of the Cloverfield series, but Jesus, 33 needed, or the Cloverfield Lane didn't need to be fucking made. JJ, like Jesus. But what I like. No, sorry, but to interrupt you.
Oh, you're right. I was just gonna say I feel the same way about the Colin Trevorrow director who directed Jurassic World. Like that whole Jurassic Park is my favorite movie. And the movie is complete fan service just for the original, and I'm just I can't get on board with it. The second one, the Fallen Kingdom, loved that movie. It was great. So, I feel like him and JJ are the same. And Colin was actually going to direct the Star Wars movie, but then they threw him out and they put JJ back aboard.
Yeah,
So,
there was some kind of thing that he was going to, I guess they had some kind of dispute over, didn't he do the second one in this new series, or who did the second film in this new series? I think I've lost Bill Spork, everybody. Oh my. Oh, hello. How are you? There we are. What did you think in general of yeah, I know it's probably my internet, because I don't know why. It just tends to be unstable every once in a while. It's like me. It's like most comics we know.
Mine's going on and off too because of I think the servers, how many people are on it.
Oh,
but you're talking about the second Star Wars movie in this one.
Yeah, who directed the second one in this series?
Yeah,
I thought he directed that one.
His name was Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson.
I
think his name is.
Yeah, I think.
Jedi.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell though that JJ wanted to be hands-on with this project just because of how there was a lot of controversy over that second film, and it's.
Well, yeah. I feel like it. Sorry.
Oh no, you're cool. What'd you say?
I think it's complete asinine that Disney didn't already have like a direction they were going to get, like a map for the whole thing with the writers. Even if one of the directors wants to try to change something, at least they have a path that they're going to follow. But it really feels like this other director was like, I hate now. Granted, I don't hate The Last Jedi, but I hate the fact that he didn't follow through with everything from.
Yes.
There's no continuity that follows. He just pretty much shit all over it. And he was like, okay, I'm just going to change everything. And then now it's like you have this movie and this other movie. And now
and in the middle is this just turd that.
I feel like the other director, okay, well, what would have been your stance on the third film? And then what would have The Last Jedi been if Abrams would have directed it? So now we'll always have to wonder that.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Oh no, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I said, or maybe we'll get those movies someday. I don't know.
It's like the Snyder Cut.
Right. Yeah, the Snyder Cut.
And the thing with this movie that or the second movie to go into number 3 and not have a plan. I'm gonna say this: J.J. Abrams is a god if he made this movie the way he did, because of the fact that he took basically a bony corpse and Palpatine did, or reanimated it back into fucking life, took the life force from something else, put it in, and then having Rey as Palpatine's granddaughter. I honestly was in the camp of Obi-Wan. I wanted it to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. That way you could have that name live on forever and sort of restart everything. But I think also, thinking about it, my friend, and I want to get your opinion on this, it's better for Palpatine, because then that way you have that what? Oh, he was trying to make her into him and all this stuff.
He was kind of transgender.
I was trying to get rid of my penis, young Rey.
Google.
Let your testosterone flow through you, young Palpatine.
I think the reason why they went with Palpatine being, the grandfather is because Palpatine, okay, you got Vader, and you're like, oh, Vader is the evil guy, and then you see the Emperor, and you're like, he's necessary pure evil. So for Rey to be, part of that family tree and then to kill him off shows that even at the most evil, you can prosper into being good. I think that was kind of what they're trying to do. So.
And that's that nice moral story that we talked about, bro. That's the wonderful part about this movie. Is
Star Wars is my dad, man.
Same, dude. It's people think I can guarantee you there's some people out there who know me personally who if they said like, do you like Star Wars? And I went, who the fuck doesn't? They would probably be like look at me like I'm like I never knew. I love Star Wars. It's always been one of my favorite series as a kid. I read a lot of the comic books.
Yeah.
I'd go to the library because I couldn't afford shit and buy and rent the extended universe books because it was like fun to read them. I'm like, please give me more. I want you. What did you think of Kylo Ren's? What was that? Up? No. We're losing. There we are. We're back. Yay.
You can. Yeah, you faded out there for a second.
It's all good. I blame the internet.
What I think of Kylo Ren's what?
Kylo Ren's storyline through this whole thing of being completely redeeming himself, coming from where he did, seeing his dad, which I'll give my thoughts on that in a second. What was your thoughts on like Kylo Ren's story arc through this movie and through the entire series?
I think I'd say Kylo Ren was probably my favorite character, like new character throughout this whole trilogy. He actually had a really good arc, and I liked how it like worked out because he did some extremely terrible thing. He killed Han Solo, man.
Yeah,
it's almost like there's no going back to that unless you get Han Solo to come back and tell you it's all right as it goes.
Yeah.
But I don't really think his thing was with his dad. I thought it was more with Leia because in the second movie, even though it's a different director, like there's that part where he's like flying.
Lost him.
Lost him. In the X-wing and the let's call it the things in the TIE fighter like froze up and he didn't do it.
Hold on, Bill. You're gonna Bill, you're gonna hate me, buddy, but nobody heard that. What'd you say again? I hate you. You're gonna hate me.
Which part? Did you hear
the whole thing, my friend? Okay. The internet's hating us tonight. May the 4th of podcasts suck.
Okay. There's a lot of pods going on with what I was saying. I was talking about TIE fighters and I accidentally said Tide Pods. But I was like, oh, those are the things that kids eat. But anyway, I said I don't think like Kylo Ren's arc was more so with I don't think it was with Han Solo. I think it was more with his mother. But because in the second movie he was like about to shoot her ship down and he like froze up and then the other TIE fighter shot her down. But
yes,
I was like, okay, so there's more or less with that with his mom because Rey like he felt that she died and then she like took advantage and just fucked him up. So that's what happened. It was a cheap shot because she felt it too. She's like, oh my god, now he's weak because his mother just died. And
yep.
I mean, he brought him back. Oh, I don't want to spoil everything.
Oh, it's been out for a while now, sir. So this is, if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, that's on you. I'm just going to say it's been out for over 3 months. You could have paid before you went into quarantine, fucks. How about that?
That's cool.
I like,
it's
crazy. Me too, dude. And
I think it's crazy that you said it's been out for a while because I remember being a kid and like waiting for a movie to come out from like the theater to rent was like 2 years, man.
Oh, I know.
If you didn't see it in the theater, you're fucked.
It took 2 years for a VHS to come out. I mean, I remember, what was it? Batman 89 came out in like 1991 or 92.
Yeah, it came out in like 92, man.
And then like even then with DVDs, they'd still keep you a year before they would put that out. I'm talking though, like Rise of Skywalker itself with like spoilers and all that stuff. It's like if you don't know what's going on and you're not a Star Wars fan or you haven't seen episode 9 already, you're not a fan, man. No, I'm kidding. You all are wonderful human beings. Another big storyline I should tell my own thing about the Kylo Ren stuff. What I liked about the Kylo Ren actual stuff with it was that Kylo, this was a big redemption arc, and I liked the fact that they used Han to come back. I cried when Han hugged fucking thing because I don't have a dad, man. Like it's that emotional connection. So
no dad group, man.
it's one of those deals. Plus, also, I was always a big Han Solo guy. Like that Han. I was a big Chewie fan.
Yeah.
And then also you had who is it? I also liked Pig Nose guy. The guy who's like, "We don't like you." I always liked him for some reason because he looked weird.
The guy that got his arm chopped off
No,
by
not
Obi-Wan and the Cantina.
Yeah, the plastic surgeon who like got his arm cut off by Obi-Wan.
Oh no, the other guy got chopped. Yeah.
No, not
Okay.
Buttface. I don't. Buttface was okay.
No, the guy that has like the ass face.
Not Buttface. I'm not. I like Buttface, but he doesn't like you. The guy that actually says the words, he doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Yeah. He's like, I got real emotional when they unplugged C-3PO and like reprogrammed him. Dude, that part was rough. When I was a kid, like C-3PO was like never my favorite, but as like an older adult, I'm like, man, I really, really like C-3PO. I feel like he carries the whole first movie.
Yeah.
Like in A New Hope. For the first 40 minutes, it's just him bitching at R2-D2 walking in the desert, like, where are you going? Oh God, Jesus.
oh dear. Oh dear. Where are we?
Where are we? Oh, beep, Jabba the Hutt. Oh.
Jabba requests you to go into. Oh dear.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
The whole C-3PO thing, like, yeah, that got me, dude. When he was just like, "Oh, my friends, why?" Like that was. But what I found funny is fucking R2-D2 always has to be a cockstain in these fucking movies and just be an asshole. But he finally just literally put some sense back into fucking C-3PO after he gets his fucking mind wiped. Like he just gets his shit wiped and doesn't know who anybody is, and then R2 is just like, "Go fuck yourself. I have this." Oh, hello, R2. I'm going on a mission. What'd you think of that little droid? I was not a fan of not BB-8. That newer one.
Oh, you mean that thing that looks like a thing?
Yeah, it kind of looks like a bird on a wheel.
Yeah, I could care less, to be honest. It serves no purpose.
Yeah, I agree. It served.
I kind of like that weird thing that like unplugged C-3PO.
Yeah. Bobo. Bobo something. I can't remember. I just somebody in the comments will put it. But Bobo from the Boobo. I think it was like Boobo, wasn't it?
I don't remember, but he was all right. He was funny.
Yeah, it was. I liked him when he introduced himself again to C-3PO.
Right. That was funny. Hi, I'm C-3PO.
Human cyborg relations. But one of the things that I did like about the movie as well is it tied up Poe and Finn pretty well too. I think it sets them up for the new saga pretty nicely with those two. I didn't like.
Oh, you think they're gonna be in a new saga?
I think they're going to be I honestly do think they're going to be in the later saga, this next saga, and then kind of get the next people ready. I think that's what they're going to do. Kind of like what they're doing with Marvel right now is they're building up to like Fantastic Four movie and all that kind of stuff. And I love the Avengers shirt. X-Men, dude, I can't wait. We'll talk about X-Men after the recording.
Nine kids, man. We love X-Men.
I love X-Men, dude. But I will say this, like, with Finn and Poe and how they were set up to be these sort of ancillary characters. What do you think of Finn, and what did you think of Poe throughout the entire saga?
Throughout the entire saga, I think they didn't utilize Poe enough, and they made Finn very redundant. It's not, it's not his fault. It's not the actor's fault. It was just the going from the first movie to the second one. It was like Finn obviously Abrams gave him an arc because it was like he keeps running off, he's scared, he's running, and then finally at the end he like even though he didn't know what he's doing with the lightsaber, he still turns it on and tries his hand and gets his ass whooped. He gets like his back cut open, man.
Yeah.
And then he gets put in cryo freeze, and then the second movie he comes out of the cryo freeze and then he like tries to abandon the mission again, and it's just like, dude, we're doing the same movie. If you hated the movie so much, Rian Johnson, why are you trying to recreate it? You're just backpedaling.
Yeah.
So so in this third one, I feel like they all like finally came together like friends, and they were all enjoyable. I feel like there was like some like bounty hunter girl that Poe knew from the previous times
with the with the mask.
Like was she was not necessary. Like what was she doing there? It was just, why are you introducing new characters when we're about to wrap everything up? You could have added more.
Well, that's what I'm saying with that idea of they're going to be in the next couple features.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Kinda like they're setting those guys up for sure.
I don't know, man, because I heard I heard they might be doing like an Old Republic or like when Yoda was like before the prequels, like the prequels.
I have heard that. And it would be cool to see KOTOR live in action, because I was a big fan of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and all those Star Wars games as a kid. And I'll be fucking down.
I would like to see Qui-Gon Jinn again. I feel like he, even though like that everybody hates the Phantom Menace, like Liam Neeson is an awesome actor, so he still carried that movie.
Oh yeah, and that character though, even though his character in Episode 1 was sort of to represent the downfall, beginning at least, of the Jedi in that era, I would like to see him, like the Qui-Gon Jinn years in the Old Republic, having him kind of as like a teenager and build him up. That way you have something.
I was very disappointed that in this new movie that they didn't have like a Force ghost of Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
The third movie, they talk about how you can create yourself into a Force ghost, and like Qui-Gon was the first to figure it out.
Yeah.
They talk about it at the very end of the movie, so I figured like they might show him again sometime later.
Well, they are talking about that thing with Ewan McGregor, supposedly. I don't know if he's going to play Obi-Wan.
I love that, dude.
I know, trust me. But I think if you were to make an Obi-Wan, you'd have to have Qui-Gon. I mean, it would be, you'd have to have that meeting finally.
No, it would be great, and it would be familiar because it would be in Tatooine. Even though, like, when you watch The Mandalorian, there's a lot of going to Tatooine, and it's like very, very familiar. And you see that sand, and you're like, "Oh, I know where he's at."
Yeah, and when you like, I've seen pictures of him like by a speeder and stuff, and like, I'm like, oh, this is bringing back such the feels from when I was like 8 watching the re-release in theaters. I'm like, yay, it's Tatooine. What do you think? And I'll give my opinion on this. Leia's wrap up. You knew that her daughter was her body double for most of the movie. Yes, that after Carrie Fisher died. Yeah.
That's
they actually, what they did was sort of what I call Running Man Carrie Fisher's face on top of they actually superimposed her Carrie Fisher's face, onto her daughter, like in The Running Man almost, and just kept it like that, and then brought used like her as what was that?
I said like the Crow, because Brandon Lee got shot during the movie. Yeah.
Yes.
So they had to fill a lot of parts with like a body, and that was like one of the first times they ever like they tried CGI like that. Yes. Probably. They did the same thing in what was it? Rogue One at the end of it when
Yeah,
it's like the very beginning of New Hope, and yeah, it looked really good though. I was like, wow, man, CGI looks great nowadays.
I know, but there was that one part where they de-aged.
You're phasing out again, man.
Ah, god damn it. Damn you, internet. How about now? Are we good? Are we sexy? Are we not? I'm going to put it on me just because. Okay. There we are. But no, my thing was with like, how do you think they wrapped it up? Do you think they wrapped it up nicely? Leia's like death and everything like that? Or did you think it was something else? How would you think of Leia's death and her role through the entire series?
I think Leia was great through the entire series because she didn't like come out as like another Jedi. She was like still remained like Leia Organa. She was like what she was at the very end of Return of the Jedi, where she's like the leader of the Resistance and everything. Like that's fitting for her because growing up, I mean, I grew up like you grew up with Princess Leia. In the first movie, she like grabs a blaster and starts shooting stormtroopers, and you're like, dude, she's a bad chick. So it was cool to see her still like taking charge like that. They didn't just make her like a princess. They made her. It's kind of like she's like like an oxymoron almost with being a princess, but she's like totally so like tomboy. I'd say.
I agree, man. And like, I will say this, and I'll ask you this question. Look in the thing because I'll have my answer in a second. When Chewie found out, where did it make you feel? Did you?
Oh yeah, dude. There's too many parts with Chewie that movie that put me down. Like when she like destroyed the ship that you thought Chewie was on, I was like, fuck you, Ray.
Yeah. Oh,
dude, that fucked me up.
That hurt me, dude. Like when I saw that transport ship get blown up by force lightning, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Is that how Chewie's gonna go? Why?
I'm like, they're just killing them all off. But when Chewie found out Leia died, was still not as sad as when like he saw like Han Solo get killed. He flips out. He like takes a crossbow and like kills like 7 people in a row.
Yeah, that was the most badass way.
That was tear jerking, man.
Fuck yeah, man. That was what I liked about that was it showed you that it's still established that Chewie's a fucking badass in this universe. Without a doubt, still one of the hardest motherfuckers on the planet. And what really killed me about that is it was almost, for me, it was a weird thing where like you all of a sudden like he's friendless technically of all of his he's outlived everybody. Luke's gone.
Yes.
Luke's gone, Han's gone. That was the big one, and that's still to me one of the coolest fucking moments in the history of Star Wars. Is fucking Chewie going, motherfucker, you killed my friend.
You know that's what he said.
Oh, it was so good, dude. It was so fucking good. And then remember how we started as a society starting saying my childhood died with certain things. That was the immediate end of my childhood was Chewie crying. Like the most.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, it's like watching my dad cry. Like, what the fuck? It sucked.
Man, dude. And then, okay, in the second one, the part that they did well was when Rey meets up with Luke and then like Chewie busts down the door and he's just like, where's Han? And they're like, it's just another moment. Like, damn.
It hurt, dude. It hurt.
So that's kind of like follows it throughout the whole series with the whole Han Solo, lore with how he killed, and then it just carries on because it's. Have you ever watched the Harry Potter movies?
I'm not a fan.
Okay. I mean, there's a connection. It's almost like J.J. Abrams was really like binge watching Harry Potter when he made Kylo Ren because he reminds me of the bully Harry Potter's school. His name's Malfoy.
Oh yeah,
And
I know who Draco Malfoy is. Yeah.
at some point, he's like, okay, so like you have Voldemort, and he's like, you're gonna have to kill Dumbledore and be a Death Eater, and all this shit, and you have to do it. And it kind of like when Kylo Ren kills Han Solo, it's almost like the same thing.
Yeah.
They don't make Draco do it, but
Yeah.
because it reminds me of that same like very emo. He's like, I don't want to do it, but I have to. just to put yourself on to be the bad guy. I don't know, but I don't know. There's a connection there.
Absolutely. Well, there is, just because of the fact that also Kylo, and we'll get to this soon here in the end, or of wrapping up this, but it's like his storyline and then becoming Ben Solo was pretty cool. I thought like him becoming a Force ghost was a little bit. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about the end right now because we've talked about everybody else. Why not wrap this nice little thing up? And what did you think of like the setting for that final battle with all the Sith the followers, like making their own or chanting, doing all that? I thought that was a cool set piece for a final battle in the movie,
Yeah,
in the Sith temple. I mean,
yeah.
What do you think of it?
You mean the part when he's like, I'm all the Sith, and she's like, I'm all the Jedi?
No,
Like
I'm talking right before that, when they walk into when Rey walks into the temple, sees all of those just psychopaths.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah. No, it looked beautiful. It was great. I really enjoyed that.
I couldn't believe like the set design itself, just because of how amazing. And we were talking about like CGI being what it is. Like that Jedi that won the throne that was in Vader's temple, which is the throne of the Sith, is just awesome. I loved seeing that. What'd you think of the dialogue between Palpatine and Rey with all that? Talking about his granddaughter, talking about how he wanted her to be the queen or the ruler of the Sith.
I don't know. I don't think I've watched it enough to really like fully like understand it, because it's kind of still off. Like I don't know why would he say anything? He would just let her. If all she had to do was to kill him, and then she would take over her body. I don't know, with his like ashes or something. I don't know. I think maybe that could have been an afterthought, or maybe there's some more to it that I just don't understand yet, and maybe after a couple more watches I'll get it.
I kind of understand something, because of I put this together in my head while I was watching this movie, and the Emperor in the beginning of the film being on his robot head thing or robot throne. He has always, throughout every single one of these movies, and rightly so, because he became fucking emperor the way he did, is the idea of like, it's his own hubris. Like, he knows this is what she's gonna do, and it's that old Bond villain thing of like, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Like, that's all I expect out of him. And that's the kind of guy that Palpatine is, really. He is hoists himself up by his own petards and kind of became the self-made man, and has an ego because he can cheat death. That's the one, and that's why I think they added that. And I do agree with you. It was probably like somebody punched up the script and went, "No, this is better. I think this should go." And JJ went, "Yeah, sure." The Force timing shit between Rey and Kylo, through the that was established in episode.
We're doing right now.
Yeah, sort of. I can see you. I can feel your hubris.
I think it's weird. Okay, like there's a part when she's like, she's in his like area, like because like something drops and then he realizes it, but it was like. He's like, "You're in my room." I could just see him saying that, like, "Oh my God, you're in my room." He's like, I don't know if I'm on board with the force timing as much as I just kind of like the old school, just like you kind of have like the Vader visual, and then he's like talking to Luke. It's just like a presence. This makes
Yeah.
it feel more like how are they able to like I don't understand it, man. How are they giving objects to the other side just while they're doing that?
Well, how about when you were talking about the sword fight when they were having the lightsaber duel? I was almost going to say sword fight. Nerds in the comments are going to destroy me for that. It's a lightsaber battle. Get it right, noob. Fuck off. Uh, but what I like about what I found weird with the objects was how about when they were in Kylo's quarters and they hit like a thing of berries, and the berries like flew across the floor as some visual metaphor.
And she like knocked over like a vase, like a fucking cat.
Yeah, well, I also love the fact that it was like Vader's mask, like out of
Yeah, he
nowhere.
keeps that in there. It's like, get out of my room.
You're
He's
messing
got
up
all
my
weird.
toys, Dana.
Yeah,
Why are you doing
that's what it felt like when I saw that whole like scene. He's
that?
like when he didn't know, and then he's like, wait a minute, Jesus Christ, get out of my room.
Lock my room down, Mom. Oh wait, you're dead. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's amazing, like some of the visual cues and stuff. But like why I asked that with the force time was like I didn't see the lightsaber magic trick happening. Like now you see it, now you don't. But
Right.
I liked it because it was one as a visual for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's set up well. The fact that Kylo's going to get a little bit more time out like in the movie rather than just like be beaten down and
Yeah.
the emperor wins. And
Yeah, well, even if he didn't see the lightsaber when it happens, they still allude to it, like it's foreshadowing to it earlier. So like you can just, even if that scene didn't exist where you see it actually happen, you're like, oh, that's what happened.
yeah. And
Right.
what I loved at the end of this whole thing was the fact that how the hell did Palpatine get soul sucking power? Two, how he got soul sucking power when he like sucked them both dry. How the
Well,
fuck
think
did
about
that
it.
happen?
Well, he can cheat death, so I'm sure that through time he's just developed even more power. I can anything that has to do with like him. It's like, okay, I can believe that one because he's
Mm-hmm.
like just evil guy that's searching for more power.
What did
So
you
that makes sense.
were you a fan of the Emperor's robes and everything that kind of brought back that
Yeah,
episode 1 feel to it too, which was cool? Or no, episode 3 feel when he was in front of the
yeah,
Senate.
yeah.
It
No,
was pretty cool.
yeah. No, I like that. I'm actually a big fan of 3, even though a lot of people shit on it, but I
I
like that one.
I think out of the first or episodes 1, 2, and 3, it goes 1 is definitely fucking last. 2 is definitely fucking 2, and then 3 is the best, without a
Yeah,
doubt. It was
I've actually went back and forth between the first and second one. Like sometimes I'm like the second one is the worst, and then sometimes the first one. But I agree now that Phantom Menace is probably the worst too. And then the third one, I like. What were you doing the other 2 movies? Like this one is great.
yeah.
Like I can watch that movie all the way through, and yeah.
Oh, dude, that movie, episode 3 to me is probably the best version. Like, what a Star Wars movie when you're building like a prequel. That is the best way to do a prequel is to do like every little thing that they set up was perfect because it
Yes.
matched episode 4 through 5 through
Yeah.
6. And it was not,
Yeah.
it wrapped it up in a nice bow. But number 1 is just garbage. I hate number 1. I used to have a joke in my act. I think you heard it a couple of times where I talked about when the kid who played Anakin Skywalker, he got arrested for DUI or like racing or whatever. and it was you could take the boy out of the pod racer, but you couldn't take the suck out of episode 1. I'm sorry. There's just no. I cannot get behind it, dude.
No, the kid, like the problem George had was he created this movie, and then as it went further, he realized his demographic was children. He was
Yep.
selling toys, and he's like, "How am I going to sell more toys? I'm going to make this more childlike." But then he didn't have like a balance between like all the political stuff that was like beyond like children, and then the childlike stuff was, come on, he had like a little like baby Greedo at some point like kicking a soccer ball out in Tatooine, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I watching, man? Like you're supposed to grow up, like the director is supposed to like grow up with the fan base, kind of like a good example is like the Simpsons. Like I was a kid watching the Simpsons, and as I grew up it like followed like my life, and you're like, oh, this is like still going on and I can still relate to it. Star Wars, it was like when episode 1 came out, it was like, all right, I'm a teenager now, and this is fucking weird, man.
Oh, I know. And you're older. You're a little bit older than I am. I remember being, I think it was in like 6th grade when the
Man,
first Star, 5th
how
grade. 30. 30 years
okay.
old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just 4 years.
Yeah, it's not by much. I know we're like somewhere in the same age bracket. We're in the same generation. Don't get me wrong.
Same generation.
But yeah, man, it's I hated that. I hated Star Wars Episode 5 in 5th grade, or Episode 1 in 5th grade. I thought it was dumb because I had seen the re-releases, and I'm like, this is great. Now what the fuck is this shit? And who the fuck?
It just doesn't hold up.
Who the fuck is Anakin Skywalker? Oh wait, I know who that is, but who the fuck is this little boy? He doesn't look white at all. He doesn't look pale.
There was no reason to make him a little boy.
No. Teenager would have been nice.
Yeah,
but little kid.
Like the age that Obi-Wan was in that movie would have been fine for Anakin to be.
Yeah, agreed. And that should have been the way it was. I want to ask you one quick, obviously with Kylo Ren giving up his life force to everything.
Reylo.
Reylo. Hey, we got Reylo up in this biatch. Better than Benifer. That's all I got to say. But with these two, and then all of a sudden the love story ends. Did you think Kylo deserved to be a ghost after all the bullshit he had done? Do you think that was really something? I think he should just like died instead of actually turning into the Force.
If you think that Kylo should have been a ghost, then you should think that Vader should have been a ghost because he fucking genocided he destroyed planets of people.
I know, and Vader shouldn't have been because of the slaughter, but morality.
I think it's the selfless act that he made to spare Rey's life was the reason why he got to become a Force ghost.
Yeah, I understand that. He didn't do enough, in my opinion. It was literally the last movie when he's turning. It's like, couldn't you show him this in the second film, or was he just going to be Adam Driver and crying for 3 hours? I don't like that.
I think it needed to be that point because there was a conflict in him.
Yeah.
Even though there is no conflict. Yes, there is.
The internet again.
It's the good in you. It was very much the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my internet cut out again. Yeah, we're technical difficulties, everybody. This has actually been one of my favorite ones. But real quick, Bill, I'm going to ask you final thoughts on episode 9. And then also, are you going to you're obviously going to continue, but what are some projects Star Wars wise that you're looking forward to seeing from Lucasfilm?
In conclusion, I thought the movie was extremely enjoyable especially after sitting through The Last Jedi. It was definitely a comeback to the original trilogy. It was nice to see familiar characters, and it actually ended properly, more so than, you know, it could have been really bad, but it, you know, they went the safe route, and I'm fine with that. It was a safe movie, and I'm okay with that. And it was very enjoyable. And I got to watch it with my son in the theater, and that made it even better because it's like a whole nother generation of a Star Wars fan growing up, and I'm just, yeah, you know, it's a good bonding moment. So it's Star Wars is just more than just the movie to me. So, and I'm really looking forward to in the Obi-Wan series if they actually do that with is it Ewan McGregor?
Yes, Ewan McGregor slated supposedly to do it.
I've heard about it. I really hope that happens more than anything. I'm looking forward to the Mandalorian season 2.
Yes, and I'm gonna probably binge watch that tomorrow.
Well, now you got the Disney, so yeah, do it, man.
Hell yeah, brother.
Good.
And I want everybody out there, I want to thank you for listening and watching the Quarantcast. You can get all of the audio versions of this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and wherever, iTunes as well, wherever you get your podcasting needs. And the video is up on my YouTube at Ray Hyclak. Search or go into my page, and there will be playlists of this and Side Angle Network, which will be coming out, or Side Angle Wrestling, which will be coming a new episode will be coming soon of that with me and Dan Brown. Bill Spork, give them your social medias if you want to.
Oh, no, thank you. I have no platforms anymore at the moment.
You are a saint. You deserve to be Jedi status if you can fucking survive like that in the quarantine. I love this, man. That's why I love Bill Spork. I'm going to have him on again, either on the Quarantcast or if it will be on the other show that I'm planning on doing after the quarantine is all over. Bill Spork, thank you, my buddy, for being with me. And thank you guys for joining us on the Quarantcast on YouTube. Everybody, I am at Ray Hyclak on everything. Enjoy the rest of your quarantine, and hopefully we'll see you next week.